Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today is part 2. We'll be finishing the kitchen pantry cabinet from scratch. Okay, now we made this in the part 1 video, just using some basic techniques. I call it the box technique for the drawer and the body of the cabinet. So if you haven't seen that video already, definitely check it out so you'll know what's going on with this video. This pantry cabinet is made specifically for the Rooming House Dollhouse pantry. So let's get started. So I decided to do what I call an overlay effect. So I'm going to use a base of this. It's called Real Brown by Folk Art. And that this color that I'm taking the lid off is called Asphaltum. And I'm also going to be using the Crackle medium. But I want you to be clear, I'm not going to use the Crackle medium in the traditional way. So you'll see what I mean. And that pretty red is going to be our top coat. So I did kind of mix the browns. Oh, that's not attractive. But okay, that's just paint. So I mixed the browns, and I keep me some handy wipes, baby wipes or something nearby. And I'm using 2 brushes. Now one of my paints is old, so I actually will be putting the paintbrush directly in it because it's almost gone. So in general, if you have new paint, don't do that. And I have a water bottle nearby. Yeah, that's the old one, so I'm sticking the brush directly in it. And I'm using 2 tones of the brown paint because I kind of want variation in this base coat. Now you could have just used a regular one brown, but this is just what I do. Okay, and I'm not doing a real thick coat, okay? I'm just kind of doing a thin 1 layer coat on the body of the cabinet. Yeah, I'm just getting in there, just getting right to it. And you don't have to really worry about being real neat or precise. We see in in this frame, little Gretchen is just doing her thing, just getting it on there. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be your base coat. Okay, this is the coat that's going to show through after you get the top coat on. And again, you may be looking at this like, wow, it looks really pre-K, but it's going to get better. Because the objective in this technique is to put some years on the cabinet. I don't want it to look new. I don't want it to look like I just made it. And you see in this painting technique, that's little Gretchen just doing it just every which way, no particular direction. And you'll watch how it gradually changes. And I'll be back. Okay, so I did add a little water to, yeah, that's me there. I'm back. I add a little water to the paint to make it spread faster. Now you don't want to add a lot of a lot of water to your coating because it could cause your furniture to warp or the wood to swell. So be very sparing if you do add water, but I add water to certain portions so that the paint will spread really quick, and especially on the insides of the cabinets. I didn't want it to look like a heavy coat. I just wanted it to almost look like natural wood that was just stained natural wood. Okay, so I was just doing just a kind of a quick wash over those areas. Now, when you're painting it's kind of a large piece, not really large because it's miniature, but when you have a piece of furniture like this, you're going to have to take your time. Again, this is edited video, so it took me a while to do this because there are a lot of little nooks and crannies and a lot of little tight areas that you may not see when you first start. So you have to look around your piece and make sure you've covered all the areas that you want to cover, especially if you're trying to do an aged piece, because you don't want some bright, clean wood showing through and to give away your look. Now, if they ever do an autopsy on my furniture, they'll realize that it was made in 2020. Yeah, that's the color is 746. It's easier than saying it. Yeah, 746 by Folk Art. And on the back, again, I did a very thin wash. Now I'm going to allow that to dry, and then we're going to come back. I did add the 1, 2, 3 blocks to the doors to keep it from warping. So now that the base coat is dry, we're going to go on to do our second coat, or what I call my real color. Now I did use the crackle medium, but as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I did not use it the traditional way. I did not coat the entire piece, and I just more or less singled out certain parts of the cabinet to add the crackle medium. I didn't want it to be totally coated because I actually am not going to allow the crackle medium to take effect and to do what it was designed to do. I'm going to do something slightly different, but you'll see in a minute. So I'm just coating it, giving it kind of a thick coat in these areas that I wanted, because I want to use the crackle medium to make my paint do what I call drag. So I'm just kind of putting it in places that actually I'm using it almost to create a protective barrier. And you'll see. And the protective barrier will keep it from sticking, so that I'll have areas that my red paint actually won't take as well. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So here I am with my paint, and I've got the lipstick red and the other one is a cardinal red. And I actually decided to just use the lipstick red and added a little bit of the 746 to it. And I actually just put a nice kind of a thick coat on it. Just kind of a nice thick coat of the red on top. Now it really looks bright in this frame. But it's actually more of a brick red color. It's just the way the camera is showing it, but it's a little bit deeper because remember I added some brown to that lipstick red, so it definitely is a darker tone red. Kind of, I call it like a brick red. It's looking, like I said, really pre-K right now, but I'm putting it on top of the still wet or damp crackle medium. So the crackle medium is creating like a barrier. So I'm not going to allow it to dry, but I'm trying to get the entire piece coated before I start to drag it or wipe it with my cloth. It's a little messy. So be prepared, especially if you use a color like red. You will be washing your hands for a while after. So yeah, just wiping it and dragging the cloth over the areas that I had previously put the crackle medium, because in those areas the paint is almost going to just come right off and just kind of leave kind of a bare spot, which is what I want it to look like. Just kind of worn out, aged in certain areas where the paint just wore off and you're starting to see through to the wood. Really want to add years to my piece. I want it to look like it's been around for years. I definitely don't want it to look like I just made it. And you have to turn your piece and make sure you're getting the paint in all the areas that you want the red to be. I did not want it on the inside of my cabinet, only on the outside. And I definitely have to remember to do that top piece. So I'm still turning it, but you can start to see that the paint is starting to dry, and you can see those areas where I wiped it is exactly where I had put the crackle medium, and that's where it came off the most. So when I drag the cloth across it, the crackle, the paint, it just comes off and it kind of drags and gives a streaky effect in those areas where the paint is removed. And that's the feeling I wanted for it. To me, it's really making it look aged and more vintage. Definitely not a new piece. And I hope you're noticing too that as it dries, the red is toning down. I definitely was careful not to get any red on the back as well. But you see how the color is starting to tone down and it's starting to absorb into that brown. Oh yeah, I really like this. I really like the way this is coming out. It looks like a nice old vintage cabinet. And remember, I mentioned I hadn't done the top. So I definitely have to do that part. And that's that area I was telling you I want to put pots and bowls and other things on top for display. This is looking really great. So I keep turning from side to side and it's starting to dry. So I just want to check the inside to make sure I didn't get any on the inside. And nope, that's just the way I had it, with the thin coat of the brown to make it look like natural wood. Hinges are still working good because sometimes you have to check after you paint your piece to make sure that the paint didn't get stuck in the cracks and seal your doors together. So my doors are working well, the drawer is working well. Everything is looking good. And I'm just kind of wiping in areas where I thought it might look a little bit more worn, like around the handles of the door and then around the handles of the drawer. If people keep pulling the drawers, you know, it would be worn away more in those areas. So those are the type of things that you have to think about. I'm really, really pleased with this piece. I'm really, really happy with the way this is looking. And I keep just turning it and checking that drawer. It's looking good. Okay, so now that I've gotten to this point, now I actually may do a little dry brushing after everything sets back to see how I like it. If I want to add a little dirt and grime in between the cracks and the crevices. But at this point, I'm pretty much finished with the paint technique that I was trying to show you. Again, I want to be very, very clear. This is not the normal way to use the crackle medium, and I don't want somebody to see what I did here and misunderstand how it works. Now you see I just used the crackle medium to create a barrier so that the paint would kind of drag off and pull off in the areas that I didn't want it to take. And I actually do have a piece to show you what the crackle medium actually does, so you'll be clear on what it really does look like when you use the crackle medium the correct way. So this is a chest I made a while back, and I actually used the crackle medium the real way. And this is what it actually does when it is used based on the directions. You'll get a nice crackle effect. You'll see your undercover, your color that you do as your base coat, and it'll show through your top coat. So this is what crackle medium actually does, because I don't want to misrepresent or be misleading as to what crackle medium does. This is what it does. It actually crackles when it is used according to the directions. I used it in a different way, so I definitely want to be clear on that point. Now, if you enjoyed this video today, definitely let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm uploading new video for Little Gretchen's workshop or regarding the Rooming House Dollhouse. And also check out my video about my dollhouse beds from scraps. That's a part of my furniture series. Looking forward to seeing you dolls again on Little Gretchen's workshop. Thank you so much for watching, dolls. Take care now. Bye-bye.